So a couple days ago, I got the flashed ECU for my new S1000RR in, and today we're gonna be putting it in the back in the bike and taking it out for the first ride. Now, to catch you guys up for speed, or catch you guys up to speed, I picked up the S1000RR 2020. Yes, I know, it's sold in the rest of the world as a 2019 and 2020 in the US. Don't ask me why, that's just how it is. So, 2020 S1000RR here in the States, and I picked it up a month or two ago. I really need to make a month-long review video. Anyways, so I picked it up. If you didn't know, bikes that were shipped to the US, I'm pretty sure it's only bikes that were shipped to the US, are severely restricted in a few gears for a certain RPM range. Here's a clip of me kind of showing you guys as I accelerate what the exact issue is.
Dude, okay. So this is second gear. I'm just gonna show you this. You can probably keep up with me on this. So I'm at 3,000 RPM. Floor, like this is max, this is full throttle. Now it hits. It's like, it's so bad. And it's so apparent in second gear. Like full throttle, nothing. Now it hits.
So that's the biggest issue that people are having with the new S1000. Other than that, awesome bike. Stupid power outside of, you know, that small range of restriction. Incredibly smooth, just awesome bike all around. I am in love with the thing. But having a bike that in the US that was shipped this way, it really sucks. And it sucks that we have to get the ECU flashed by a third party to essentially make the bike how it was from the factory. So that's what I did. I partnered up with BrenTuning. If you're not familiar with them, they're one of, if not the most well-known shops that do flashes for S1000RRs. So they have an ECU flash for the new bike that gets rid of that restriction and makes some other claims that I'll go over here in just a second. But that's what I was looking for. That was the main thing that I wanted out of it. Of course, if you're familiar with my channel, you know that I love doing ECU flashes on the sport bikes that I get, and I've done it all on all my bikes. So I did it on my R6. That was just to get more power out of the bike and have a smoother operation. That's what we're hoping to get out of this, but also fix that issue with the bike that it should not have had. Now, BrenTuning goes into detail about what their flash does and explains some of the throttle restrictions that are on the bike. But here's some of the claims that they're making for their flash. Again, these are straight from BrenTuning. These are what they're saying about the flash. De-restricted throttle, de-restricted exhaust valve, raised RPM limiter, adjusted fueling, better throttle response, and diagnostically invisible. For numbers, they say 5% gain in peak power and torque, 50 horsepower and 40 foot-pounds of torque gains in lower RPMs and in certain gears, 2 to 4 horsepower gain from exhaust valve management, extended RPM means less gear shifts at the track, and better overall rideability and smooth acceleration. So again, if you want to check out their webpage for the flash, I'll link it down in the description if you want to get it for yourself, or you're just curious about the throttle restriction. BrenTuning goes into detail about what is actually the issue. So I'm here to put this flashed ECU, which I got in this box, and get it in the bike and get this thing out on the road so that we can actually test out if that restriction is gone, and other than that, how the bike feels. All right, so I got the ECU in. It was a million times easier to put it in than it was to take out. It wasn't that hard to take out, but it was really easy to put in. If you're watching this and you're gonna be doing this yourself, a tip for getting the zip ties back on the cables, just bend the ends of the zip ties inward so that when you thread them through this hole, they kind of peek out of the hole down here when you pass it. So it'll come out pretty easily, and then you can get those zip ties on. So ECU is in. Before I put everything, all the plastic on the top and put all the bolts in, I'm going to make sure that it starts up. Good sign. Cool. Looks good to go. All right, so I'm gonna get all the bolts put back in and we'll take this thing out for a ride.
Alright, so right off the bat, I noticed that it's louder when you start it up. It also starts up super quick. I guess some people have a cold start issue. I never noticed any cold start issue. It seemed to start up fine for me, but it did start super quick. So, it's all warmed up. Let's get this thing out there. Okay, that was not, I did not completely turn that, but that would not do that in second gear at that RPM before. Oh my gosh. So, okay, you gotta watch the video of when I went out and rode with Moto after I did my first service, and it was the rematch between this bike and the 959 Panigale. And right here, I was doing pulls demonstrating that like I would go freaking 100% full out wide open throttle and it just wasn't giving me anything. That is not the case. And again, if you go down to the link in the description to the ECU Flash page on BrenTuning's website, he explains all the restrictions and stuff, and he shows the actual throttle tables on the bike by different RPMs. And there's a couple spots where it's legit 40% throttle, like that's the max you can go. Jeez. Oh man. Oh boy. I'm doing this in freaking third gear. Jeez. Restriction is gone. Good lord. Alright, so I'm gonna get this thing on the highway, but another thing I'll note is the bike is definitely louder. That's because the actual exhaust valves are only, I think stock, according to BrenTuning, they're only opening 30%, but I noticed as soon as I started it up, it was louder, and cruising, it's louder as well. This bike is so quiet stock. I'm curious how this is going to feel, because I haven't really gotten it past 9,000 RPM, and that's where you really felt the restrictions kind of dip away. I'm curious how it's going to feel now that that's not there. Another thing that they've done on the ECU, let me go down to my information screen. So the temperature right now is 203 degrees. I don't know what temperature stock they kick on at, but to help cool things off better, they've modified the fans to come on earlier, like at a lower temperature. That's something I had on my R6 too, just to keep it from getting up super high temperature, because then your legs just fry. The bike is really nice stock, but one, that restriction itself is straight up unacceptable. It's ridiculous. But the bike has so much potential that even if they didn't have the restrictions, I still know I'd be doing the ECU Flash to get more out of this bike. Okay, so I hit 9,000 there, and it was slight, not as drastic as it was before. You still feel something there. Fourth gear, 5,000 RPM, like it's actually pulling. Jeez. Oh my god. There's certainly no restriction. Jeez. It feels like first gear. It seriously feels like first gear now. There's also some more pops going on. I know they do some changes to fueling. Don't know exactly what. I think they just make it run a little bit richer. I can't overstate this exhaust difference. It sounds more like it has an aftermarket slip-on. It's not, it's certainly not an aftermarket slip-on sound, but like the difference in volume. Jeez. You just twist and it freaking goes. This makes me so happy. And again, you shouldn't have to do this. That was fourth gear. Fourth gear starting at 97. Now the actual restrictions on the bike stock, they decrease as you go up the gears. So third has less than second, fourth has less than third, fifth has less than fourth, and sixth has less than fifth. But even in sixth, sitting at 6,000 RPM, cruising at 85. You only get that in a liter bike. The easiest daily 100 ever. Jeez. Oh man, it's like a solid 1,000,000 degrees Fahrenheit today. It's hard to even keep it pinned at that. If you have one of these, especially in the States, you got to do this flash. Okay, that was pinned for a split second. Jeez! Just full power. That's just unfair. Oh my gosh. Oh man. I need to get a rematch with Evo because this 959 isn't going to stand a freaking chance. Let's let this thing cool off a little bit. Because of those restrictions, like, you would think a bike this powerful, you wouldn't be able to get that much out of it. But with how much it's restricted, the gains are like 4 or 5 times on this, like in how it feels, compared to like the changes I got out of my R6. And the changes on my R6 were bonkers. Like, felt like a completely new bike. This feels like you're like going up a class in motorcycles, going up 2 classes. It feels like going from a 600 to 1,000 at least. This is amazing. Oh, I can't wait to get this thing on the track. Even if you don't have this bike, I'd recommend checking out the link down in the description because it explains all the restrictions. And it doesn't just explain them, it actually shows charge tables, everything with actual data on what's happening on this bike stock and the improvements that have been made with this flash. Now BrenTuning did the flash for me. They didn't pay me though, they didn't pay me to say anything. All of the reactions and opinions on how this flash feels are mine. But oh my goodness, if you actually have this bike and you know there's a problem, and I'm telling you right now, this fixes it. So let me know what bike you guys want to see me take down on some toll road runs in Mexico. Leave a comment down below. I'll start searching them out in Austin. If you're in Austin and you have a bike and you want to do some runs, let me know. Now of course we'd be taking it to Mexico and I wouldn't be the one driving, but hit that like button, guys. I'm going to be doing some dyno runs. I'm going to be taking it to a DynoJet dyno so that we can see that number for those of you that want to know that, as well as taking it back over to AF1 Racing to get it on their Mustang dyno so we can make a comparison to my dyno run from before with this thing stock. Make sure you check out my website, motonosity.com/shop. I got some stuff on sale over there, and just for you guys today I'll have an extra 10% off for all of you. Just use the code S1000RR to get yourself 10% off. Y'all been awesome. I've been Motonosity. This has been the first ride on my ECU Flash S1000RR. Remember, life's better with horsepower. Keep life lived, and I'll see you guys in the next one.